Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the Blackmagic PYXIS 12K came out. It's the newest toy from Blackmagic, and I know people want to hear about it, so let's go ahead and get into it. We'll talk about some of the specs first, then some of my thoughts, and then the closing with the tariffs and how this is going to change the pricing. So we're talking about being able to shoot up to 12K, 8K, and 4K, 6K as well, which is in the middle right there. You're shooting primarily, you're using Blackmagic RAW or B-RAW for short, but it also does give you H.264 proxy files, which you don't know, those proxy files allow you to view back the footage in a simpler format that's not as heavy or as difficult to view depending on your computer setup. Right now, I'm running like a 3080 in my computer. I think 12K might make my computer blow up low-key, or I'd have to take a very long time creating proxies. But with the proxies being made automatically, it just makes the entire process a lot easier. Right, we're also talking about the fact that I was looking at it and some of the footage that was showcased. The low light performance in this thing was actually pretty amazing. And it also include the fact you can shoot open gate 3x2, which if you don't know right now, I'm shooting in 16:9. 3x2 would just be a bit wider view, which you would use in certain situations in order for, you know, stylistic choice, or if you don't even need to crop in later or at the black bars for any reason. Using 3x2 would be a pretty good option. I will also say it comes in the L, PL, and EF mount, and having those three different options is a really, really big key. So if you're looking at getting one, make sure you do your research on the type of cinema and photography lenses that you have to see which ones and adapters you would need in order for your lenses to match your camera. There also is a really big difference between photography lenses and cinema lenses. If you don't know, be careful with that. There is a difference there. I will also say there is a beautiful touchscreen on the side. It's about 4 inches. It is 1920 by 1080p, so you don't get the full 4K, 6K, or 8K, or 12K view on that, but you don't really need it. I know it's not the traditional monitor which you add on top of the camera, but having a side one, having a monitor on the side does come in handy, especially when the camera's on sticks. No matter if you're shooting broadcasts or a commercial or, you know, music video, etc., etc., having an additional monitor there does help out significantly, no matter where you are and when you are. In regards to the, it is a 5-inch HDR monitor. Excuse me, I was wrong when I said 4. I have it pulled up right here. It's just, no, correction. It is the 4-inch monitor. I was looking at the wrong thing. My apologies. You can add the Blackmagic PYXIS monitor, and by the way, if you're using any of the Ursa camera accessories, you can go ahead and add those as well, especially as well as the Blackmagic 6K and 4K accessories. From my understanding, the ability to also record directly to SSD, or if you're going to use a CF Express Type B card like this one right here. Yeah, that's from ProGrade. I know it's blocked off. I have these labeled, and this label needs to be replaced. Just like, because I have like 3 or 4 of them, and I don't want to make sure I'm formatting the wrong one. When it comes to it, this is actually really great footage to use for color, keying, compositing, reframing, stabilization, and tracking in HD, 4K, 6K, 8K, or the max 12K. And can we pause on a second here? No one's gonna shoot an entire project in 12K purely because the file sizes would be massive, right? And if anything, I wouldn't even necessarily need the Blackmagic 12K. I would honestly, I know this is a 12K video, I would be happy with the 6K version because that's just amazing. Also, recently they did announce that there is going to be an update for a lot of Blackmagic cameras, which introduces autofocus, which has been one of the barriers for entry for a lot of people because maybe you shoot by yourself and you can't pull focus all the time. So be able to get the cinema level quality with autofocus that looks pretty good, no matter if it's object tracking or person tracking. It looked pretty solid. So that's another big thing. Fair warning, there are no internal ND filters on this camera for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why, but I feel like it's like one of the final steps that if Blackmagic included it, that would put it in direct competition with a lot of other cameras that it's competing against. That just, they have the edge of having the internal ND filter, and that's one of the big barriers that just kind of puts them over this one. But for the price point, the original price point, might I add, it's not not fair, right? I think Blackmagic always kind of pushes in like the initiative for a lot of cameras and formats and features, and I believe like, because you get extremely great quality from Blackmagic that's cinema level for a great price. And I feel like because they try to lower their prices on a lot of their products, that they're making their competition have to adjust for them as well, right? We can't charge $6,000, $7,000 for a camera that outcompetes us, that's only be going for $5,000 originally. If there's anything I missed, let's see, it's a full frame 35mm sensor. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. I want to make sure I get everything out. There's also a 10 GB Ethernet or mobile data for mobile remote streaming if you need to. There's dual CF Express card recording, which I forgot to mention. There's also mounting options, so you can go ahead and mount your SSD to the side of the camera if you'd like to. a high capacity BPU Sony batteries. So a BPU series, I believe Sony also does it as well. You can also use the XLR mount for your sound options, and 48-volt phantom power. Features 12G SDI for monitoring status overlay. There's an optional Pixis monitor, which I believe you can grab another monitor if you don't want to go with the Pixis, or like the Blackmagic series monitors. They're solid. I like them, but if you happen to fall in love with another type of brand, you can go and add those as well. You remember, this is a cinema brick, which means it is not coming with a lens. There's no lens or attachments or accessories coming with the camera. You're just buying the camera itself. And I want to say that's everything. Comes to specs. Yes. Okay, that's everything when it comes to specs that I wanted to go ahead and mention. I'm reading everything off of the Blackmagic website. This camera is still brand new, right? And I think the big thing about it is okay, if you didn't hear, when they first announced this camera, it was $4,995, but because of tariffs and things that are going on in the country right now, it jumped up significantly. So it went from right around $5,000 to, I believe it's $6,595. So before taxes, before any attachments, before batteries, before memory, any of the other additional things that you would think come into mind when you're buying cameras like this, it jumped up from about $1,500, $1,600 before we include taxes, etc., etc. In the camera world, that for anybody that hurts significantly. So hopefully the tariffs don't stick around for too long, because that kind of sucks. And I feel like them releasing at the price point of $5,000 was really significant, especially with the fact that Red just announced that they're dropping the prices for the cameras. I believe a lot of it's kind of in direct competition because they knew this was coming around the corner, right? If anyone's not understanding why I keep saying the $5,000, why it's a big deal, I'm working a lot with the Nikon Z8 right here, which is fantastic. We love this baby right here. Okay, this thing was gifted to me from Nikon, but it was on sale for roughly $4,000. Let me just double check my math, because it might have gone up. It should be around the same. Let's see, Nikon Z8. Let's see. Yep. Okay, it's on sale for roughly $4,000. $3,696 right now on B&H Photo, but right around that $4,000 mark. The reason why that's important is that's a hybrid camera, a truly hybrid camera where I can shoot photo and video at the same time. Not at the same time, but I can switch flawlessly between the two. And that's a DSLR. I can shoot extremely crispy, fantastic footage, whether it's for social media, commercial, or cinematic sequences, depending on my style. But a purely cinema camera for about $5,000, that's insane. Right? And we're talking about the fact that you can shoot up to 12K for that price, for that entry price, up to 12K for $5,000. It's insane. And it means that, we're talking about Red's got to do better, Canon's got to do better, Sony's got to do better. You name it, they've got to suddenly either got to do better with direct competition with Blackmagic, or be open and honest and willing to drop the prices on some of the cameras, because now we're talking about the FX3 and FX30. FX6 is the same price. Are they worth that price? If Blackmagic's able to release, this camera that can shoot up to 12K for $5,000. Let me go ahead and double check, because I believe the FX6, I don't want to say this wrong. I want to make sure I get this right. We're going to make sure we do this. You're going to see this a lot from me. I like to double check my facts here. Yeah, okay. We're talking about the Sony FX6 full frame cinema camera, body only, is $6,000. I don't know if that's before or after the tax, the tariffs, excuse me. But so we're talking about released at $6,000. For $1,000 less, you get way more from the Blackmagic PYXIS 12K. That's what we're talking about, okay? We want the innovation. We want the competition. We want them to go back and forth with these type of things. And unfortunately, tariffs played a huge impact on the price, but we just stick with the $5,000 with me originally. How much more would Red have to come down? With the inclusion of, hey, your competitor Blackmagic, who also does cinema cameras, they're now including autofocus for free. Right? Instead of using like a light meter or like a LiDAR attachment, they're including autofocus for free instead of having the full focus. Suddenly, independent filmmakers, they're more open to using this type of camera, right? That's not just for the 12K Pixis. That's for, I believe, I forgot how far back, but it's a number of Blackmagic cameras that now have autofocus. Like, come on, and it's solid. If you go back and watch the presentation, they did a really good job on showcasing the object tracking and person tracking as well. I don't want to ramble on too much longer, but I do want to say that I do believe that we do need to pay closer attention to Blackmagic if you haven't been in the past. They're fantastic. They're top of the line for sure. But I want to say, in my personal opinion, I do believe that right now, like the Blackmagic, even just the 6K, the 6K Pixis, it blows this competition out of the water. Like it's hard to compete, right? We're talking about, you know, maybe another camera that includes internal ND filters. That's kind of like the big thing that's gonna be like a make or break for a lot of people who don't want to spend the extra money on ND filters on their lenses, which I get. If you're dropping this much money on a camera, having the filters inside the camera makes sense, right? It's a ease of use type of deal, especially for the price point. But I don't know, man. I just kind of feel like where it's at right now, I don't know. I think even at the 6,600, 6,500, it's still a pretty great deal. It's not, and it's kind of bittersweet because it's not as good as the 5,000. And it's weird because we literally just saw the announcement, hey, great camera, all these features, bam, $5,000. And then like immediately, shortly afterwards, it was like, oh, wait a minute, because of the tariffs, it's now actually 6,600 bucks. That kind of sucks a little bit for anybody who's looking into it. But do me a favor, tell me what you guys think down in the comment section below. Do you still believe that the Blackmagic Pixis 12K is worth the price point? Would you pick up the Blackmagic 6K Pixis? And at 6,500, would you still pick it up, or would you want to wait until it drops back down to that $5,000? And also, do me a favor, tell me what your dream camera is. Is there a dream brand that you want to work with in the future? But do me a favor, that's all I got for you for now. Do leave a like on the video. It does help me out so much. Leave a comment, subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this from me in the future. And hopefully you enjoyed yourself and got some great information from me in the process. Thank you so much for your time. Until next time, bye-bye. Man, I just know, man. $5,000. And then like literally right after that, it jumped up $1,500. That's rent money. But you know, that's okay. That's okay.